Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. In my free time, I've been leveling some characters, still continuing to level allied races. Recently, I've had people asking me, how do I level after the 735 nerf? You know, the patch where before the nerf, you can go as an alt, grab a friend who is on a max level character, you both run into a dungeon, you sit on the outside while your friend runs through the whole thing, clears it, you run out, reset it. Yeah, that was the fastest method for a while, but now you really have to put your nose to the grindstone. So how have I been leveling ever since the nerf? I am a busy man. I play World of Warcraft basically for a living. Wow, YouTube life is so difficult, isn't it? But for someone who puts out 2 videos a day, regular content, regular updates, and streams regularly every single day, I've been able to put together a method of how I've been leveling in the recent few days on my old characters. Now, to make this video and to figure out how I want to level, I couldn't just figure out myself. I'm not a leveling guru. I actually went on YouTube to find out how other people are leveling. And I decided to compile a few bits of information that I got from these 2 videos, one by J. Berto and Semo. Sorry if I messed up your name and butchered it completely. As well as Hazelnutty Games. I'll have their video links in this video's description below, so if you guys want to check out those guys, they do other WoW content, WoW videos, or might even focus on 735 as well as other leveling tips that you guys might find useful. I used a bit of their information during my research in order to compile this video, as their advice and their tips were actually pretty helpful. So if you guys want to check them out, you're more than welcome to. But without further ado, let's get into the video and how I'm currently leveling in 735. The first part is the preparation. We want to get full heirlooms for your character, obviously. Then you also want to do enchants, and this one I completely forgot about. For the longest time, heirloom gear allowed us to basically one-shot mobs without the need for enchants, and enchants end up looking a little bit more expensive. Right now, if you have a little bit extra gold to spend on the side, getting yourself elemental force for your weapon and hidden satyr for your neck would be extremely helpful. These 2 enchants don't really add too much DPS to you in the overall scheme of things. Like, let's say if you're fighting a huge world boss over a minute, you won't really see those 2 enchants doing a ton of damage. But the short-term damage that these 2 enchants can do for you can give you the illusion of the one-shot ability you used to have back before patch 735 and the new leveling system. So this 2 enchants proc fairly often, and they'll add a little bit extra of an oomph for every single mob that you fight and kill, so questing becomes a little bit less tedious, as your rotation really does come down to only a few globals if the enchants do proc. There are also some add-ons you can utilize for questing. I'm currently not utilizing these add-ons, but I could see why you guys might enjoy them, and a lot of you guys would take the extra mile in order to utilize every aspect in order to make the questing experience faster and easier. So some of the add-ons that have been recommended in videos linked in the description are Handy Notes, especially for Warlords or General. Handy Note shows you locations of rares and treasures, especially on WoD, and will allow you to basically skip the whole Warlords area by questing via treasure grinds and treasure finds and rare kills and bonus objectives and whatnot. Then there's also NPC Scanner, and NPC Scanner is not the greatest add-on. What it does is notify you if there is a rare nearby, a rare for you to kill. Now, whether you kill the rare or not is not as important, because the rares themselves don't really give that much XP. They give you generally less than that worth of a full quest. But if there is a rare on the way to a quest line that you're about to do, or to a bunch of mobs you're about to grind, or a bunch of mushrooms you're about to pick, you might as well kill the rare while you're at it. It might give you some gear in order to replace whatever you already have that's not heirloom, or if anything, it's a fair chunk of XP for barely any time invested into it, which is nice, and ends up being a little bit more useful in Legion and in Warlords areas where you're trying to look and kill as many rares as possible, because those rares actually do give you a fair chunk of XP and or gear. And now for the actual questing methods. What a lot of people recommend is questing in lower end zones, anything that starts at level 10 up to level 60. The reason a lot of people recommend leveling those zones because the quests are designed with the idea that you do not have a mount at the time. They're designed for level 10 players. Because the zone is designed without mounts in mind, a lot of the questing NPCs are pretty close together in proximity. And when you add a questing mount or a mount that you can ride at level 20 as an allied race, it makes the experience of going from quest NPC to objective back to the NPC a lot faster. Also, a lot of the mobs are a lot denser in the area because the zones are generally smaller, so killing mobs and going from one mob to the other while you're questing is generally faster. Also, a lot of those zones just seem to have a faster pacing, and you finish them faster, and by the time you're done with them, you have a lot of levels under your belt already in a short amount of time. But once you get past level 60, it doesn't really matter where you quest because the zones end up being fairly spaced out, so it's really up to where you want to level. Once you get to Warlords or General, most people recommend to not quest at all because it's generally boring. So when you get to Warlords or General, most people just do rares, treasure hunts, and bonus objectives. And once you get into Legion, it's all about the invasions, which you can basically do almost once a day. Dungeons, should you run them? In the past, before the patch 735 nerf, you would actually run dungeons, and that's basically one of the ways you could quest, up until you got an instance lockout. Right now, what Blizzard did after the nerf is gave a little more incentive to random dungeons. So yes, you should go back to doing dungeons because they actually give you a random amount of XP, and the amount of XP can sometimes be 1 or even 2 levels in a single run, which is definitely worth. The fact that dungeons keep on scaling with you means every single NPC you kill, and even the quests that you turn in dungeons, are scaled to your level, even though the quests themselves and the NPCs don't really give too much XP. Just finishing the dungeon is where majority of the XP comes from. So if you're somebody who is a tank, or a healer, or a DPS, you should always be queuing for dungeons. Tanks and healers can almost exclusively level through dungeons, but that gets boring after a while. What DPS should be doing is questing while queued into a dungeon as much as possible, up until you get tired. It is also possible to get yourself a dungeon group together with a couple guildies or friends, and just do dungeons over and over and over. Bring the best DPS, bring the best healers, bring the best dungeon tanks you can, because when you queue in with random, sometimes the groups are going to be slower, sometimes the groups are going to be learning how to play the game, and that's not something you really want to run into. But when you get in a group together with other people that know exactly what they're doing, playing the right classes, the right specializations to really punch through the content, then honestly you can get yourself a little bit extra more experience out of it just from doing group content with a bunch of buds. And finally, class spec choices. Yes, no matter what you want to level as, whether you want to be a warrior, paladin, death knight, or warlock, you should be conscious of the specialization that you are playing. Some specs honestly have it easier when it comes to killing mobs and doing good damage in a dungeon. The whole idea for this part of the video is to give you guys ideas of specializations you can play and kill mobs as fast as you can with as little global cooldowns as possible. But of course, these are suggestions. You're more than welcome to quest as whatever class spec you wish, but these are probably the best when it comes to one banging a bunch of mobs. Warriors can play Fury or Arms. I tried both of them. Doesn't feel like one is really faster than the other. It feels like Fury has good upfront damage, but the execute mechanic of an Arms Warrior is super powerful as well and great in dungeon content. For Paladin, you should probably be playing Ret. For Hunter, Survival ends up doing a quite bit of damage, especially at the lower levels compared to its cousin spec of Marksman and Beast Mastery. As a rogue, you can play any of the specializations, although I do feel that Assassination has a little bit of a ramp up mechanic. I would say Outlaw and Subtlety are probably the most sufficient, although the experience does change once you reach Legion. As a priest, you can either play as Shadow, but you are playing a dot-based class, so your experience is going to be a little slower. Some people have found playing as a Discipline with Penance and Smites ends up being a little bit faster, but it really does depend on the player preference at that point. As a Death Knight, you should probably be playing Frost, as that is the specialization with the most upfront burst without having to wait for some kind of ramp-up mechanic. As a Shaman, you should start out as Enhance, although Ellie does become better, especially for AoE pulls down the line. As a Mage, I think you should either play as Fire or Arcane. Frost is great when you're trying to slow mobs down, but the damage is just not quite as quick. Fire has a lot of crit damage, which can be great up front, and Arcane has the arcane charges that you can build up, guaranteeing you a lot of damage but limiting you with mana. Either one of those are a great option. As a Warlock, you'll find that none of the specializations are particularly great at leveling, as all 3 specs of Warlock feel a little bit slow. But what does help is if you were to play a little bit of Destruction. Destruction pulls great damage up front. The Chaos Bolts allow you to pull a little bit extra ahead of Affliction and Demo, but the problem is it's not going to feel that much faster. In the long run, you can technically level as Affliction or Demonology or Destro. I just felt like Destro Chaos Bolts are a little bit nicer, especially up front. As a monk, you should quest as a Windwalker. As a druid, you can quest as Feral, although some people said Boomkin isn't terrible. I just feel that caster classes compared to melee tend to be a little bit faster overall. And finally, as a Demon Hunter, you don't have to worry about it since Demon Hunters start at level 100 already in Legion, so you shouldn't really have any questing bows as a DH. One of the cooler methods, especially from level 70 to 80, was pointed out by the guy in the description. I don't know how to say your name, man, I'm so sorry. But one of his methods he has is through Karazhan. So you go to the Karazhan, not the dungeon but the original raid, and you grind out the mobs without killing a single boss. If you want, you can clear out the whole place with as many mobs as possible, but if you walk in, take a right through the first door and clear all the mobs up until the original rare that shows up there, basically clear up all the spiders, all the bats, you can actually get yourself a decent chunk of XP. Does mean you have to solo it, and if you're playing a class like a mage that doesn't have a lot of self-healing, you'll really have to improvise and give it a few attempts. It's a lot easier as a tank class, and a lot useful if you have a class that has good healing and high burst DPS. Those mobs you can usually one bang and take them out very quickly, and you can literally use Karazhan leveling method for quite a while in order to get yourself from level 70 to 80. Which is a fun way if you just simply want to skip about 10 levels, but you will be grinding same dungeon over and over and over again. At first, you can start it with the first few mobs, run out, reset, and do that up until your level is a little higher. Once your level is a lot higher, you can start clearing out the whole raid over and over and over as many times as you wanna, as long as you don't kill a single boss, because after you kill a boss, it locks you out of the raid to a certain location. As always, if the events like Darkmoon Fair are up or any other holidays that give you a little bit extra oomph to your XP, you should utilize them as much as possible, because any bit of extra XP just simply means that you have to spend less time grinding through the questing. Even if it's just 10%, it does seem to make a big difference. Another method that Hazelnutty pointed out is you can just watch a TV show or a stream on the side while you level. It helps the time pass by a lot faster. And surprise, surprise, I stream. So if you want to check out the stream, my stream every time you level, we stream on this channel every single day from 5 till 7 p.m. EST, except for Thursdays. And if you guys want to catch the stream or even maybe participate while you are leveling, go ahead and hit subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and hit the notification bell down below in order to be notified on every single video and every single live stream that goes up. And while you're at it, a like would very much be appreciated. Likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience because YouTube seems to promote them a lot better, as well as just lets me know that you enjoyed this video. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video gives you guys a little bit of an idea of what I am doing when it comes to leveling. My method is probably not the fastest, not the best, but it's a method that's been working out for me, and it seems a little bit faster than my first round of leveling my Warlock. Out of all the classes, I can say Warlock is probably one of the slowest to level, so anything but a Warlock, you'll probably be in luck. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see all of you guys in another one.